Hey everybody, thanks for pressing play. Brian is my name. In this video we're looking around this car here. This is a 2019, it's a Toyota CHR. It's a hybrid version and it's also what's called a Luna Sport. If there's any information you want on the car, please do not hesitate to call, text, WhatsApp me 086 843 1945. In this video we're going to look around the features that are on the outside of the car and the features on the inside of the car, and we'll go for a drive in the car as well. And the idea is by the end of the video, if you're looking for a CHR, hopefully you'll be better educated about CHRs in general, or if you're specifically looking for a CHR and you like this one here, then at least you know better what you're looking at before you actually physically come look at it. Let's start with some pragmatics. So things like the boot. Okay, looking at the boot, here's the size of the boot. It's really nice and tidy, this car overall, including things like the boot. Another thing that people don't think about sometimes is if you fold down those seats, you get a massive load area along the back. So there's really a lot of space there if you have anything awkward you ever need to transport. On the back, see the spoiler? Looks really cool. And there's also a spoiler down low, but these are actually channeling air off the rear of the car, down the window, off to this little spoiler on the rear, in the most aerodynamic way possible. Like even if you look at the little fins on the side, they're there again just to deflect air off the car to improve fuel efficiency. This is Luna Sport, so Luna Sport gets these really nice 18-inch alloy wheels, and they're what's called diamond cut. So if you're not familiar with that, that basically means they have nice, shiny reflective finish when the sun shines in them, or artificial light as well. These are a super looking car, really aggressive looking, really funky looking. Like things like, look at the detail, the door handle is actually hidden. So once you open it up, then you have a pragmatic rear, 3 head restraints, 3 3-point safety belts, dark grey hard wearing cloth on the inside throughout, and a black roofline cloth. In terms of space in the back, headroom's good, legroom's good. I will be honest, along here, I think for kids, sometimes young kids, they're going to find this as a void area. So you need to be reasonably tall in the back to have some visibility. I wish it was bigger, but that is one of the reasons that they look kind of funky on the outside. So sometimes it is form over function. But one thing about this car, it is super clean. Previous owner, I would say, it looks like the back seats haven't been used. I'm sure they have, but it is really tidy. So I think anyone who comes to look at this car, it's super tidy all the way through. And to be fair, actually sitting in the car back here, do you know what one thing? When you sit up, you got a kind of at a higher level, so you're kind of nearly looking down into the front almost, or maybe that's just me. Anyway, over here, electric windows, they're child lockable, the door is child lockable, and there's actually a really massive drinks holder in there as well, which is something I really have not copped onto a lot of cars, so that's quite cool. And then this unusual sort of plastic material along here just to break up the dull sort of plastic you can get in a lot of cars, so it's just a nice design feature, actually keeps within the funkiness of the look of the car overall. Moving up front then, there is electrics for windows and mirrors in down through here, so they're pretty straightforward in terms of how they work. The seats are really nice, kind of big, hugging, supportive looking seats, and are in really nice condition all the way through. Couple of features on the seat, so you got a nice height adjustable setup on the seat, and there's also lumbar support for your lower back, which is really good on a long journey. Steering wheel here is rake reach as well, so it goes up and down, in and out, so that makes such a difference. So many people actually don't even use the in and out kind of function. Anyway, it's cool cabin overall, so big area along here, we'll have a look at that in a sec. All the controls over here, and again, kind of same sort of plastic materials along through here. There's a lot of shapes going on, but like it's cool. It's this car is not, you don't buy this car because it's really just a good car. You buy this car because it's good, it drives well, but it's actually cool looking and it's something unusual. So you collect someone and jump into your car and they look around and go, this is kind of funky. The big monitor there, we'll have a look at in a sec, with things like dual zone climate control, and all the controls on the steering wheel as well are nice and easy and straightforward to use. And then the big clocks in through here. This car has travelled just about 22,600 kilometres, so it is, I think, decent mileage, if anything low mileage for the year of the car. Down here on the right hand side, you can pop the bonnet. In here you can push for opening the fuel cap, and the auto lights in conjunction with the light stock over here. If you turn the lights on to automatic, that means daytime, nighttime, they come on themselves, works 100%. And then the auto down here is for auto dip, so when you meet traffic they dip, when you go into a country area they go full. Every car I've ever seen, it works about 70-80%. There's times where you have to manually override it, but as a rule of thumb it actually works pretty well. The daytime, nighttime 100%, and then meeting traffic usually around 80% of the time it works. And I understand that sounds like a negative thing, but that is just reality, and that's every single brand I've ever seen. Automatic wipers again, if you want them really sensitive or not very sensitive, when rain falls on the sensor up through here, they'll actually activate themselves and turn off themselves after. To start and stop the car, it's a push button start from here. So when you get into the car and press the button, this is the startup sequence you're going to see. And then we can scroll through a trip meter over here, so that's going to change information if you see through the center, which is things like audio information, there's lane keep information, general warnings overall, general vehicle settings overall, and then after that the energy monitor, but there's a much bigger one of them on the center screen. Down through here then, controls for lane keep assist, if you want to keep it in lanes, and then how far, using the cruise control down here, if you set the cruise control, how far do you want it to stay behind the car in front? And it's not to be corrected, but I'm pretty sure that means there's a low speed follow, which means when the car in front of you completely stops, you will actually stop behind it, even if you haven't used the brakes, as long as you know it's not gone off to one angle way off left or right. But if it's dead straight in front of you, as they slow down in traffic, like, this car should stop as well. But it's always good to cover the brake pedal, and let me check that when you do come, just to make sure, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Left hand side over here then, that's just controls for radio and controls for Bluetooth as well, so you can take calls, and also then the Bluetooth's useful for streaming music. And a lot of people will also use things like USB connector down here as well to stream music. Little pocket in there for a bit of storage. And then after that, we're going to go for a drive in a sec after this. Dual zone climate, so different temperatures on each side of the car. And what's cool is it's also got heated seats with different stages, so depending on how warm you want your bum to be. Left or right hand side, again, depending what your preference is and who's in the car. The big screen in through there then, the first thing a lot of people want is a big reverse camera. So it is actually, the cameras on the Toyotas, they're quite large, I have to say, and very useful to be fair, because they are quite clear. Other things we talked about then, there's an energy monitor in through here, so when you're driving, you'll see as we're driving the car, it's telling you how much power is left in the battery, it's telling you the engine is up here. When you're driving, it'll actually show you the flow of energy, so it'll show you if there's basically power coming from the engine or power coming from the battery, or if it's combined with both, or if you're getting a bit of a recharge. So on a car like this, the engine will help recharge the battery because it's a hybrid car. Once the battery gets up to a level, then it starts helping the engine, and then once it gets down, the engine cuts back in and starts charging the battery, and so forth and so forth. And the other thing as well is when you're slowing down, you'll find actually this car will drag energy from the turning wheels and help recharge the battery as well. And one thing I always find on these hybrids, they're super easy on brake pads and discs because of regenerative braking. A lot of cars we find these days, they use brake pads and discs, excellent brakes, but they actually consume much quicker. But I found on all hybrid cars, they don't seem to consume brakes anywhere near as quick as a normal car. It's also worth mentioning up through here, that is electrochromatic, so that means if someone drives up behind you at night time, it actually darkens itself. And up through here then, usual light functions. Speaking of big drinks holders, there's another big drinks holder in through there, and that's actually why this car smells lovely. Every time we get into this car, there's a really nice smell of it. So the previous owner obviously left that there. We've given the car a quick clean up, but it needs a full clean still. Park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then we use this engine braking function, which means when you let off the pedal, the car will start to slow down in a more aggressive fashion, but it's also dragging energy from that braking momentum to actually recharge the battery as well. You don't have to do it, but it's there if you want. But most people are just going to drive using D only. In behind that then, a park brake, which is automatic. Really handy on Toyotas, because what I believe happens is, if I go for drive, yeah, it automatically turns off, and when I go for park, the handbrake automatically kicks in. That's so rare on cars now, that's really cool. And after that then, traction control, brake hold to stop you rolling on a hill forwards or backwards when you just use the brake, and the EV mode if you want the car just to go into a full EV mode. But I have to say, most of the time the car will decide when the right time to go into an EV mode is, so it'll actually do it itself. Leave the car do its own thing, because it actually is the most intelligent and it knows what's best for the battery. But that's just where, you know, you're creeping along and you want to like creep along and the battery's sufficient, it will go into an EV mode. I will be dead honest, Toyota have advertised these as being in electric mode for like 50% of the time. I think it's a load of crap. I don't think it's actually real. But realistically, what I find on these cars is, if you want a nice quiet car to drive, something that's comfortable and it looks cool, it's going to tick all those boxes. If you do some really low speed driving in around cities and stuff, they're really excellent. If you do a lot of driving that's 80 to 100 kilometers an hour, they're really excellent. I can send you a video. I drove on these 2 or 3 years ago over to Mayo and back on the back roads. It was really good in fuel. It did about 5 to 5.5 litres, same kind of territory as a diesel. However, I have another video I can send you on a motorway. If you're doing 120 kilometers an hour all day every day, these are not the right cars. They just don't do it well. They're not suited for it. They can do it, no problem, but like if you go away, like, I don't know, once every, you know, 2 or 3 months, I'm doing a long journey, yeah, who cares, fine. It's going to be a little bit harder on fuel than a diesel car, but it's going to be better than a petrol, to be fair. But for anyone that's going to do less than 100 kilometers an hour and a lot of town driving, it will definitely be better than your petrol car, and it will compete with your diesel car in around the urban areas. So that's just to try and give you a realistic de facto kind of view of how these cars work. And probably the best way to do it is by driving the car, which we're going to do now. One more drinks holder, more storage with a 12 volt outlet down through there. And again, one thing I'd say on this car is in really, really nice condition throughout all the way. So let's actually go for a drive in it. People always notice just how quiet these cars are when they creep away, because they get to use the battery quite a bit. And you see here, we're actually going down a hill, and at the moment you can see the actual car is recharging the battery just from the kinetic motion of the wheels. Cruising along, they're quite nice, again, like I was saying to you, quite and comfortable, and it's an automatic car, so it's quite a nice place to be. But there's good power in these cars. One thing that's really unusual, you put your foot down, these are so quick compared to a conventional car to get from 0 up to maybe 60 kilometers an hour in a city at the traffic lights. They're quite entertaining to drive because they just get going much quicker. As you see along here at the moment, the battery is driving us, and then once I put my foot down, the engine also and the battery drives us. And again, it'll just keep toggling between those different modes. You never need to know. You can if you want by watching the energy monitor, but you don't have to know. I'm just showing this for demonstration. It's also got a speed sign recognition function down here, just to warn us if we're exceeding the speed limit in the area as well. And like I was saying to you before, they're just a really cool looking car. This is a nice one because it's a Luna Sport, so it gets tinted windows on the back. It's got the nice big wheels as well. I like the daytime running lights on the car as well. But they're just a very, very stylish vehicle overall. And the satisfaction rates, any of the people that have bought these cars from us, they just seem to always be happy with them. And we always do our best to price them competitively, so people get a good deal. They're getting a nice tidy car and they're getting a good deal, because we do good scrappage deals and trade-in deals and finance deals as well. So anyway, there you have it. That is a 2019 192 registered Toyota CHR. This car's in really nice condition. It's low mileage. If you're looking for a car that's really nice to drive, it's quiet, it's comfortable, it's smooth, it's modern. It's something also, I suppose, Toyota reliability, in fairness, over the years, they've always made really good cars. Which is definitely a help as to why people like them, and that's probably why they hold value very well as well. Anyway, if you want more information on the car, 086 843 1945. Brian is my name. Please do not hesitate to give me a call, and thanks for watching.